Hi, and welcome to the SevenJackpots Podcast, the podcast where we talk about everything that is online casino in India. And today, the topic that we want to talk about a little bit is something that has kind of not really existed like 4 years ago. No one really knew anything about this. But this kind of game has kind of exploded, and I'm obviously talking about crash games. And yeah, I think just like maybe we should just like kick off that topic with like I want to hear from you guys. Have you like played these games? Like, do you have any experience with them?
I have. I've tried them. I can't say I've tried them all, but I've tried a bunch of them, like 6, 7. And it's all really interesting because people are very inventive with those, like the developers, and they don't look like crash games, all of them. But the logic behind it is the same because like it keeps you wanting to go a step further, and then it's your choice. I mean, do you want to cash out or not? But it doesn't matter what it's like. Is it a ball? Is it a plane? Is it a minefield or something? But the logic is the same, and it's really captivating because I wanted to try a couple of them, and then I ended up trying like 7, 8 for like 10, 15 minutes each. And so, they're really, really, really interesting. Really something else.
Yeah, I've also tried them, and the first game I tried was Aviator, that's been developed by Scribe. And I got so hooked on the game that I played it for 1 hour, and that never happens when I play casino games. Then I got curious. So I went to, first of all, I never heard about Scribe, the developer of the game. So I got curious about them. And then I realized, and correct me if I'm wrong now, Sweden, because you've been writing a research paper about this. I think Aviator got released 2018 or maybe 2019. So the game has been out for some time, but it's first for like a few months ago that I realized that it is a game actually. And I also play a lot of MX Plinko. I think that's the name. Yeah, Plinko, which I love as well. It's like, sorry for speaking in Swedish now, but MS Röj. It's like one of the, I think everyone who had a computer for like 15 years ago could play this game on Microsoft.
It's called Minesweeper in English.
Yes, Minesweeper. I love that game also. And it's so, we had our previous podcast was about responsible gaming, but these games are so addictive. Just wanted to put it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I've also played them. Kind of tried them out. They're really cool, the way that they're made, because I'm usually I'm more of a gamer person than a gambler per se. And these games just fall right in between that just makes you want to try again. Because a lot of the games that I play on my spare time is kind of like games where you play, and then if you die, you kind of go another round. So I'm already used to this kind of like, well, I can just go again and see if it goes better, if it's better this time. And the concept is the same as a slot, right? You just play again and see if you're luckier the next time. So the concept is the same thing, but the option of cashing out whenever you want, I think that's kind of what makes this game a little bit.
And not only that, like with every step, you get a bigger return, and you just want to take a little step further, and it's and it's up to you. But I think this is the biggest, for me. This is the biggest factor that makes them different from the other games. That you do have a choice, and it's really good to have a choice. It's really, you don't spin the roulette wheel, you don't deal the cards. And with these games, you do have a choice, and it's and it puts back control to a certain extent in your hands. So you know that you're risking with every step, but you see that the multiplier of your whatever you bet gets higher, and it's up to you. And some feel more that they give you a choice. Some feel that they, some that don't look like they give you a choice, but it's always up to you. So that's why, for example, mines, and they also have another one like that, goal, which you have to find the correct tile to go to the goal, to score a goal. It looks like a minesweeper. it for me, that's the one that gives you the most choices and the most control. Because if you've ever wanted to play Minesweeper for money, that's the one. And
Yeah.
you get to choose all the tiles that you want to open, and you decide when to stop, when to cash out. And it's like a track that you have to liberate from what. And it really feels like you're in control. You're not completely, but you are at the end.
Yeah. And like, so, I mean, I know that I have a favorite out of the games that I've tried, but I would want to like hear your, if you guys have any kind of liking to any specific version of these Crash games that you like more. It sounds like you are into the mine stuff, both of you.
Either that one or Football X, which I think was released just before World Cup, right? Or I might be wrong here, but
in November. It was released in November.
And like you say, I think I like those two games more because it feels like I am in control to decide if I want to take my winnings or not. And then I'm a huge fan of football in general, so it's nice to play soccer penalties or football penalties. So I would say that those are my favorite games. The Aviator game, I like it also, but I like the Football X game more. I would say it's my favorite. And what about you, Felicia?
I like the mine version because it gives you that option to like gives you chances, right? You usually have like a few chances to get it right, and then you can cash out whenever you want to, or continue or not. But I mean, I kind of like the Aviator aspect of it as well. The one where something flies up and you have to cash them out before the crash. But I think from those games, Spaceman is probably my favorite because I like the design of Aviator, but I don't really like the double bet option. Like I don't understand the thing where you can bet two at the same time, unless you use.
You have to be
quick. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like I think that the only way for me to be able to enjoy that second bet would be to have it auto, like to put an auto feature on it so that it auto cashes out. Because I know that I would probably become very angry if I would manage to cash out my first bet, and then just because I'm half a second slow to click the other button, that would crash for me. So like I don't. Yeah, so I mean, I don't
interrupt you. I think you can do that. I think you can set up one bet to be auto cash out at a certain multiplier, and the other one you can follow.
Yeah.
So if you've noticed that the game tends to crash at like 1.3, 1.5, or 2, whatever multiplier, you can just set it up a little lower. And then
I would set that one. I would set that one really low, and then play with the other one. But the reason why I like Spaceman better is because of the 50% cash out option. So there you can that I can cash out half my bet, and then I can continue with the other one, which is kind of the same feature in a way, but it's just made in a little bit of a different way. Plus, I like the design better. Like JetX, for example, I tend to feel a bit stressed with that. There are like a lot of stuff going on at the same time. There are choppers coming, and there are bombs everywhere, and I want it a little bit more peaceful than that, but they're all good. But yeah, go ahead, Matthias.
Yeah, something that I just wanted to add before we jump on to the next topic is evolution is lacking in this area. You have Scribe, you have SmartSoft, I think it is, and then Programmatic Play, right? Pragmatic Play.
Pragmatic is Spaceman, yeah.
Yes. I think those are the three main developers of Crash games that are popular, at least in the markets that we have analyzed.
And then you have the live version with Cash or Crash.
Yes, but I think it's very encouraging and actually a bit refreshing to see that there are other providers out there that can create great and awesome games, and to see that the evolution is not there and taking up off the whole market space, basically. So that's also something that I've been thinking about a lot. And have they launched a lot of Crash games recently, Evolution? Do you know that? Because I have struggled to find any Crash games in their portfolio, right? No? So this is an area where they
not specific, like not even from any of their sub So not Red Tiger or NetCenter.
Mm. That's interesting, I think.
The thing is that evolution has this habit of devouring of just buying out everybody, and for a number of years now. And then when they noticed that that crash games became a thing, because they all monitor what the popularity of the thing is and of the games are, they just did it overnight. And this, I think a year, 15 months ago, in the fall of 2021, they came out with Cash or Crash, but they did it their way. Very heavy, very immersive, with a live host, with all these balls and multipliers, and it's very immersive. It just takes you in, and you can't play that from any kind of phone, from a €100 phone. It's just it's not for everyone. They did it their way. They placed it within their game shows, within their live host, live section, live casino games. So it's the same mechanism behind it, the same type of algorithm, but it's for a different market. It's for a different kind of user. So they just hold on for it right now. They don't make the light type of the mobile crash games.
I think you're into something there in terms of why we think that they are so popular, why they have come to be so popular. Just to spin on what you said, I think that the simplicity of the game, especially in emerging markets where we operate, having in mind that most of the players doesn't have very expensive phones. They play and gamble with below €100 phones, and I think these games are very suitable for that type of device. So that I think it is one of the reasons why these games have exploded, literally.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting to see it, actually, because I was thinking about this a little bit yesterday, that I don't know if you remember these guys, Matthias, but do you know that like in 2015 there was a game provider that came out that had games at Leo Vegas they're called Gamevy, and they created games that are basically crash games in 2015, and I played them quite a lot when they first came up because I was working in Leo Vegas at the time. And they've made some games called like almost like a game show game where you jump. You have like 3 options on like a flooring, and then you have to pick which road you're going to get to a safe, and then the safe is like the biggest payout. They also have one that's really, really similar to the Minesweeper games. That's called Diamond Deal, I think, where you're basically it looks like you're on a TV show with a lot of boxes. You have 4 options, or you have 4 attempts to find a box that has a diamond in it. If there's a diamond, then you get a payout. You can cash out whenever you want. But then you get 4 new tries to find another diamond. And the more diamonds you find, the higher the payout, obviously. So they made these games already in 2015, but they didn't really go anywhere. So I think that's kind of like interesting. I thought about it, like what was the thing that made these crash games and made these, free choice kind of casino games explode. And I mean, to me, it really looks like it all happened when crypto took off, because it kind of made people more interested, like made the average person more interested in that kind of having a free choice of doing whatever you want with your money kind of thing, where people could invest and then cash out whenever, because that's essentially what crypto did for people. It just allowed people to deposit and withdraw their money in a fluctuating market however they wanted, right?
Well, see, that's the thing that it's amazing that the crash games have been around for a few years, and like Matthias said, like the biggest hit on the market, Aviator, has been out since 2019. They got all the certificates a year later, but it wasn't until the past year that they really took off. March, April of 2022, and everybody started noticing. So, and it coincided with the crash of, like, a little bit after the crash of the crypto market, but everybody sees the resemblance with the because even people that don't believe in cryptocurrencies and tokens, they invest in them. Even people who know that they might be a Ponzi scheme or whatever, they just still put their money and they wait for to just cash out a little bit more above the curve. So they're happy with it. You made some money. I think it's a scam, but why not make some money? So it has something like, that it's going to crash. That this plane is going to just crash down, but why not make some money? And it's one aspect is because of that, and then another one is, for example, they split the markets when they got the feel of it. They split the markets. The interface reflects on who they're targeting. For example, Matthias mentioned Football X, and it's huge in South America because they're crazy about football, and it's just a little virtual avatar just keep you happy with the ball, kicking it up and up and up until it just drops. And people who are into crypto, they just like the way that, because the plane leaves a curve behind it, the track. And people who are into decision making, it's just for different types, but it's the same mechanism behind it. So they found the way to get users to like it. So
yeah.
Is there a cultural aspect here as well? Because we work in the Indian market, and we have seen when we wrote reviews about these games that the traffic and also the searches has gone up quite dramatically. And if you compare in India, to start with, the crash game vertical versus slot machines, for example, there are already more searches and awareness in India about crash games than there is of slot machines. So clearly, from a culture point of view, or awareness or player behavior, it seems like players in India like these type of games more than in, European markets. I'm just going to benchmark with something. And we're also working a lot in Latin America at the moment, in Brazil, and you wrote an interesting piece there as well, Sweden, that will be published later on. And it's the same thing in Brazil. The awareness around crash game, I don't think a single slot machine were in the top 10 list of the operators we reviewed. So I'm just trying to figure out if there is a cultural difference here as well between, European traditional gamblers who historically started with slot machines and then they moved to live casino, vs the guys in the more emerging and immature markets that straight away went into the crash game vertical. Because if you go to a casino in India, online casino, or Brazil, they also have slot machines and live casino games. But it seems like everyone just loves crash games. So I wonder what we can do about that information when we talk about popularity and trends and stuff like that.
I'm pretty sure, I know that the markets where these games picked up really well in the past year are what we call emerging markets. And those are markets where, besides the economy growing strongly, they have a big proportion of young people. So that cannot be a coincidence. India shares this trait with Brazil, millions and millions and hundreds of millions of young people. So they really like it. I think they see it as a new generation of gaming. It's light and quick and gives you a choice. And it's just, you can click, cash out quickly and just have a couple of sessions. And it's not as demanding as going into a casino, like even a virtual one, while people who traditionally like gambling a number of years ago, middle-aged people, they stick to their roulettes and they stick to their blackjack, and still the classics are bigger than crash games. I'm not saying they've been replaced, but like in terms of single titles, Aviator is bigger than given roulette, but the category of classic casino games is still there, still above it. So I think it's just young people liking it. It's a matter of
yeah. I also think that it's kind of like a perfect timing of two things. Or you have the young population, which is great, but you also have both in Latin America and in India, there has been quite a recent development when it comes to online payments as well. Like for a very long time, people have used cash, or to like the longest extent has been like you use your credit card online. that has been like the way that you are paying for things online. But just in the last couple of years, you have started to get these new methods to use. So you can use Paytm, you can use Google Pay, you can use UPI and PhonePe and all these things. And I think that in combination with that people are young and that people know more about these online things, I would say cryptocurrency, that you don't have to be engaged in that yourself, but it's still there. It's still online. You can still see it. You still understand what Bitcoin is and like sort of how it works. So I think that this is just like a perfect timing of this kind of game coming in for this younger audience, where the younger audience kind of just like understands how this works better than a slot game. And I also think that with the younger generations, the thing of having your free option and having your free will sort of is really important. And I think that that's kind of what puts people off a little bit with a slot game, because, for example, Aviator and all these crash games, it's kind of very few of these rounds. I mean, now I'm really just speculating because obviously it's randomized, can't really predict anything, but very few of them crash instantly, right? So very few of them crash on 1.00 multiplier. It happens, obviously, it has to. But a lot of them are like, you can still make a little bit of money, but that never happens with a slot game. Like there's never always a winner in a slot. It's quite the opposite. In a slot, you're playing mostly, you're mostly losing your rounds until you hit a lucky one. Like that's so it's the other way around. So I think that this whole crash game, that there is a potential that people think that it's like a bigger, you can still pay out. Like you can get a little bit of a profit every time if you want to.
I got another one for you. I read it in a comment below in a forum. People just love that they're simple. They're really simple because let's say you're a young adult, you haven't had, as a kid you don't play these games, but you want to try you want to try your luck, you want to try your decision making. It's up to you. You can do whatever you want, but you don't know. First, slots are complicated graphically. They just, something is raining and they're rotating and you have to follow the patterns. And the other one that might be complicated for a lot of people is rules, because either like card games, you have to be good to win at those. Luck or no luck, you have your edge, and to be able to win, you have to know the rules, how to, or even a simple roulette or something, you have to know which betting strategy gets you, more success. But with these games, they're really simple. You follow the curve, or you see, you open the tiles, and that's that, and it's your decision, and you see the win right in front of you. It's not behind some hidden mechanism or something rotating or some very complicated rule that you cannot just beat your poker opponent. You don't have to be impressively good with rules or with cards, with anything. It's just simple. It's right there.
Mm. Yeah, and I think that thing that you can actually just see the multiplier, especially with the crash games like that have those, like I've been in this industry for so many years, and still I sometimes struggle with like understanding what my actual profit was in a payout if I win something on a slot, for example. But with this, it's just super easy. It's just like, okay, it's five dot something times, cool. Then that's my profit, easy.
So talking about features, the in-chat function for the games, have you tried it?
Yes.
And do you like it?
I have tried it. I like it, but there is potential for improvement. I'm super stoked that that these games are coming now, that they allow for the people who usually, like, because the people who play crash games are usually previously slot players, right? They're not necessarily live casino players. But I mean, in live casino, you've had the opportunity to chat with either the dealer or with other people for a long time. But slot players have never been able to do that. Like as soon as you play a slot, even at a casino, like a land-based casino, you just sit on your own and you press a button. But with the crash games and with the in-game chat, I mean, now you kind of can build a community almost with that, especially with the live chat in combination with the leaderboard that a lot of these games have. So the leaderboard is like a little thing where you can see exactly when people cash out and like what they're on, which multiplier they did that. You can even see, like, for example, on Spaceman, you can see if they cashed out their full amount or if they only cashed out 50%. So with this information that you can get all of a sudden of other players, you can create this kind of like this communication going, which is really cool. It's kind of what people do with watching streamers. I mean, you can just watch each other play. You can, you know, talk with each other about what's happening. The big issue that I'm seeing with it right now, though, is that it is extremely spammy. So the communication is really lost because people are just spamming out messages of random stuff. I don't even know what they're talking about, but it's like they have to monitor those chat windows better so that it can become a communication, not just people trying to post random messages.
I think the chat and the leaderboard are really good tools for you to monitor what the others do, how much they bet, when they cash out, and that helps you learn how the others play. And you know, people that cash out quickly and or whatever, they have their strategy. You can just watch and learn. And the chat is good, but I agree with you. They spam a lot of websites and messengers and whatever. But can you? I've actually didn't look into that. Can you send a direct message to a user or something, or is it?
No, it's just open for everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, I think only Aviator is the game that utilizes the chat for something else as well, other than just talking. Aviator has that bonus feature where basically there is a bonus that pops up in the chat. And if you're quick and you click on that bonus, you get it. It's kind of like you get a free bet. So that's like one of the cool things that you can, I guess like as an operator and also like as a provider, to run promotions within a game that actually doesn't necessarily have a bonus feature, but you can create a bonus feature through the chat and have people engaged. So then obviously, if you would want those, then you can't just put the game on autoplay and just sit back and relax. You would have to be there and be present and see what's going on in the chat as well, to be able to get some free stuff.
Yeah, that's good. I didn't think of it. That's good because that keeps your eye on the chat. Like if they give out free bets and promotions, and I think they call it a rain or something. But I've seen it,
exactly.
but you know, it quickly disappears because people click on it. They just keep their eyes on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with what you both said, and I think for me it's too much. It feels like I'm watching a Twitch stream of some super popular gamer, and there's like 25 lol Tyler or someone playing League of Legends, and there are like 25,000 people just writing. I can't keep up with it. So for me, in order to say that I like it, I think they need to organize it a bit better. But on the other side, I don't know if it's in their interest to actually do that. Perhaps leaderboards, like monthly leaderboards, would be cool, and then you can click on the top ones and see their patterns in terms of how they play. Maybe something like that could be cool, but for me it's just too spammy. I don't like it at all, to be honest. I think it's just distracting for myself at least.
Well, that's fair enough, though. It is really, really spammy, and that's kind of. I would love to see. I mean, I can understand that there would be a risk for it as well, but I would love to be able to see like having different rooms for it. So like imagine if you could have a room or a different server, kind of like you have online games in general, where you can join a server that's only from your country or your town. And then obviously the player pool is going to be much smaller. So then the number of people in the chat will also be much lower than having the entire world of Aviator players in the same chat. But obviously doing something like that might, because the risk with a chat that is unmonitored in that way is obviously the same anywhere you go. Like people are going to start talking about things that maybe they shouldn't be talking about. Any way of communication online is obviously with risk. for people. It's the same anywhere. I mean, I used to play RuneScape. It's the same there. People still try to get people to connect in other ways, and then start talking about whatever they want to do or sell or whatever it is that they're trying to do.
I think you're onto something though. When you said it would be nice if you could join a community from your town or country. I don't think it's going to go down to a town, but I think as we move on, this type of fair, simple games on your mobile or desktop, whatever, you might be able to join a channel when you log on. You can just see which channels divided by hashtags, interests, and how many people. Like 400 people are there, 20 people are there. You want more crowd or a bigger channel room, and it might go down to like different channels with different games. So I think that they might think in that direction. It's not that complicated to do.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, there is already that for live casino. I mean, there are silent tables for live casino where they don't even have a chat. So I mean, I think that that would be a really cool next step in the social aspect of these games. But do you guys have any so these games have started? Obviously, they started maybe in around 2015, but they're exploding now, and there are more and more of these games coming. Like, do we see where can these go? Do we think that they're just going to stay in this format, or do we think that it's going to evolve into something else?
I was trying to come up with, because some of these games crash games that they've created are like old school classic computer games that they just turned into something cool. So I was trying to think of, is there any other cool game that I would like to see in this format? But I think Ludo already exists, right? Even though it's not it's not in a crash game format.
No.
What was the game that you played on your Nokia when you had this snake that was...
It's called Snake.
Yeah, Snake. Yeah. Maybe a snake crash game. So the snake gets bigger and bigger. I don't know. But I really like this type of games, and I think that you have a lot of opportunities with them. But that's the best example I can give you of innovation.
It was a real break from the type of gambling and gaming that people are used to. So that's the whole innovation lies behind the mechanism that fuels this, that drives these games. So based on that, they can come up with a number of new, like a whole family of divided by interest and visualization and everything. So I think I give them at least a few more years of popularity, at least. Because you can't predict a few years from now if they won't innovate in a completely different direction of random games that you can play. You can just but at least a few more years they're going to exploit that, because it's really big, and a lot of casinos are picking it up, and the thing is that they don't do it with apps. Like, they do have apps, but they're all spam. They're all fake. They're all the only reasonably the only fair games, crash games you can find are on mobile browser. When you log on to a casino, that's it. So if people, that's another thing. If people look for crash game apps, don't. There's no such thing. I mean, it will be nice for some people, but these are so light and quick, and they get bored. People get bored with them, and there's like a dozen of them already, which are really nice. So if you're looking for a crash game, just find your favorite casino or whatever, and they have these on a mobile version. It's so light and it's so responsive and quick that don't trust an app. Don't trust. That's an important thing I wanted to say, because I was looking for it, and there's so many duplicates and like dummies, and they not a good idea.
They look very, very similar to the real ones, but they're not. I mean, obviously you can play them for fun. I mean, there are obviously apps where you can just play for
as a simulator, yeah.
Yeah, but like as soon as you start involving real money, then like really just stay away from the apps.
What do you think, Felicia?
About the evolution of it? I think I have a vision that I kind of want to see happening, because I think that when EvoPlay came out with Star Guardian, I think it's called Star Guardians, that was such a revolutionary concept for me, because the mechanics is exactly the same as a slot, but the difference is that you control, like you can actually with your keyboard, like you can control a character that walks into rooms, and you can aim and shoot at aliens. But each of these rooms have the same mechanic as a slot. So like you shoot these aliens, and they have a random opportunity to give you money, and then you place a bet, which is you go into a new room and you can find keys to unlock certain rooms. So I think that kind of concept of like that you're playing like an adventurous game of like that has a story, but that you have opportunity to have options to maybe buy into certain things or cash out whenever you want, would be like the perfect game for me. For example, you would go into a room, a challenge, or whatever it might be, and you have the option to buy in to get power-ups, for example, that would possibly help you in what's coming up next. But there might also be a risk of you losing everything, obviously. Like you're losing your bet. You have to start over. And then after you've done that challenge or whatever, that you can cash out if you want to. Or you can continue to the next one to maybe win more. Or lose it all. Who knows? But I mean, for me as a gamer, playing a lot of first-person shooters and playing a lot of like those kind of games, that would be where I would start spending money on these kind of games, I think. And especially if there would be a community as well, especially if I would be able to do that and see what other players are doing, or see other players' avatars also run around in this game where I'm playing at the same time, just doing it for real money. That would be insane.
I had one more thing that I wanted to bring up, and that's the probability fair technology. And I think it's Spribe who has that one. It's built on
provable fair.
crypt. Is it only Spribe who works with that technology, or do the other crash game provider have something similar, or did I miss something?
It's actually not just crash games who use them. There are some live casino tables where you can use the same kind of mechanics to prove that a round has been fair. So it's really just a way for people to. It's again the thing about people being able to make their own decisions and take their own choice to be like, I want to verify this thing. Okay, cool. So I can. I think that for a long time people have just been like, okay, so there's an RNG, there's a random number generator. I just have to trust the process. I just have to trust that that's fair. There's no way that you can, double check that yourself, because the algorithm of that one is always super, secretive. And now people can. And I think that that's, it is fair, and it is secure in the same way as cryptocurrencies are secure. So, I mean, it is just another way for providers and operators, I think, to make sure that they are providing something that is honest to people. And I think that that's good. Like, I really like that they are taking that responsibility, because it would be really, really easy to make one of these games that would just be, obviously a scam, just like Sweden said with the apps. I mean,
it's like you said, they're not the only ones who use it, but they're really open about it. Spribe has this. You can go into the menu, and you can rerun every session that you've played, or like the last, and you can watch one and see if it checks out. You can rerun your last one and see if it checks, and it always does, because that's the way it works. A random number generator is one thing, and they call it a seed. I think they explain it very well. They call it a seed, the computer seed, and then it's your seed, the player. When you log in, when you join a session, you have your own seed, and both are turned into a hash code, like a 16-digit or something, and when you merge them, they give you exactly the same outcome you would get if you place money or if you don't place money, if you rerun the session. So they're really open about it. It's really, really fair. It's amazing because it's like they publish the RNG, the random generation, from their side and from your side, and you can check it out. And it's that also is revolutionary because people don't do that in the industry. Nobody does that. So the other ones, like a Pragmatic Play and SmartSoft, they also use 95 or 97 on their games. The return to player, that's also checks out, but you don't see it. So I also think that more and more gaming studios will do that in the future.
Is that everything we want to say about Crash games?
Yeah, I had my little notebook, and I actually think we have covered everything. I'm just amazed by the awareness around the product in general, and I really love them, and I guess that they are here to stay for a longer period.
Yeah, I'm really happy that they are. I like slot games and I like live casino games as well, but like this is something different entirely that I think will possibly shape the way that we will see new casinos show up on the market in the future. There might be, because I know that when cryptocurrencies exploded, we got a lot of these crypto casinos that were specifically made to be, crypto friendly. And I think that we might see in the future now to see a lot of crash casinos coming up that they might skip slots altogether. Who knows?
Oh, yeah.
So to only have these kind of games. There are already casinos that have them in focus. Like, I know Blue Chip, I think, are very focused on crash games that have like their main focus. So it's already happening. But it's going to be super exciting to see what happens in the future.
And like every market innovation, they just challenge the big guys, challenge the big game developers to be as open, as fair, as quick and simple, and as just likable as that product. So I think it's good for the whole industry. It's good. It's going to stimulate operators and to put these kind of games, and then developers to just set the bar higher for this type of games, and try even a new mechanism for other games in the future.
Okay, cool. With that said, then.
Awesome. Till we see each other again.
Have a good one.